It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio today. We're going to be talking about something that's happening all over Arizona. Quite a few in Yavapai County alone. We have Central Yavapai Fire and Chino Valley Fire, Camp Verde Fire, Montezuma Rimrock Fire, both looking at mergers and coming together. We have Clarkdale Fire Chief Joe Moore in studio. Verde Valley Fire District Chief Nazir Hazimi. Welcome to studio.
Thanks for having us.
You guys contacted me a week or so ago and said we're also talking about bring it together, and we want to get on the show and talk about it.
Great.
So here we are today.
All right.
It is happening all over the place.
It is.
I mean, before the show, Joe, you were telling me all kinds of different districts that have already done it. You mentioned Show Low.
Yeah, Show Low, Lakeside, and Linden, I believe it is. Those three, about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, came together under a merger process. Canyon and Tri-City Fire in the Miami Globe area did the same thing last June that we're doing right now, which is the consolidation. And then, of course, you mentioned Central Yavapai and Chino. Theirs is under a Joint Powers Authority, which was a law was created to do that about 3 years ago, and they're the first ones to do it in the state.
Which is also the direction that Montezuma and Camp Verde are going to with the JPA.
It's happening all over the place. So let me ask you this, and I this is the first question I have for you now. Clarkdale I was thinking to myself, Clarkdale Fire was under the umbrella of Verde Valley Fire years ago, and you told me, Joe, that was 10 years ago, and I thought it was just a few, but it's been 10 years now. And then there's two districts, and I always thought that at one time they were one district or going to be one district at a time, and now they're two districts. So what happened there? What's the change to bring them together?
Well, that effort back then was to change from a municipality fire department under the town of Clarkdale to a fire district. Okay. And during that time, Clarkdale did not have a chief, and they contracted for the chief services from Verde Valley Fire. Don Eberly had started that in pre-district, and then Jerry Dirksen was the chief during that time that we were contracting for chief services. So not really under a full umbrella of two districts being one, but we had the administrative officers contracted to manage Clarkdale Fire. Once the districtization took place, which was 10 years ago, this October 30th actually. Okay. Then the district hired Don Eberly to come back in and be the chief, and he stayed for about 18 months. And then again, the umbrella, if you will, then separated. We didn't need the chief services any longer. We were two separate districts. However, the point of what you bring to umbrella or coming together, one of the intentions of making it a district was with the intent originally to consider merging Verde Valley Fire and Clarkdale Fire together back then. It just wasn't feasible due to the tax mill rate.
Okay, and we're going to get into that tax mill rate.
And I think the time frame back when to where it is today and the stability that both districts have established, and now we're looking at now what can we do with each other. So I think that needed to happen from 10 years ago to where we're at today. And now we have things that are in line, with our tax mill rate and a lot of other things that we're doing internally with our organizations. We're in line with so many things. It just makes good sense to at least entertain this and look at it and do our feasibility study, and which is what we're into right now. So it's we're into it full throttle right now, if you will, with not only Chief Moore and myself, our board members who kind of spearheaded this. They said let's let the chiefs look into this, see if it's even doable, and we did, and brought back some documentation to them. And says let's do the resolution. I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but
that's weird.
So that's what we ended up doing, is had both boards adopt resolutions to allow us to continue on with the feasibility study, and that's kind of where we're at today.
Okay, and this started like last May.
Correct.
Right, that we've been talking about this for a while now.
Correct, and when the boards asked us as the chiefs to come together and look at how we could share services and save money and create efficiencies and better service to our members of our community, that did start last May, and over the past, the first 8 months, as we got deeper and deeper into it and found that we do a lot of the same stuff, and we both have people on both sides doing the same stuff, so we have duplication and duplicated costs, and it just, as we got further into it, it just made the most sense to come together and consolidate the two and reduce redundancies, duplication, and save taxpayer dollars and use them more efficiently, more effectively.
Can you give me some examples of the duplication? Specific examples.
Even with the feasibility study, it kind of identified some things right away. Apparatus is a good example. We both have an additional engine that we could probably end up surplusing. That's 2 fire engines that we're not going to have to replace, and we can go ahead and get rid of them. IT equipment, servers. The list goes on. It's not just operational side of it and the equipment that firefighters need to do their job, but also the administrative side. So we're looking at the whole thing, the whole umbrella. People think, oh, it's a fire service. They don't realize what goes behind it. The administration side of the fire service allows the firefighters to do their job. So there's that whole other end of it, the HR side of it, the IT side of it, finance, everything.
Yeah, if I give you a little better example on that for personnel-wise, we both do hiring for our reserve firefighters that we have that support our full-time firefighters that go on vacation, need education time, things of that nature, sick time. And interestingly enough, we both spend money for these processes to bring these together. Duplicated cost. We both spend the HR time. We got 2 people doing all the paperwork to generate these people as new employees and get that done. But even once that's in place, we actually share 2 or 3 reserve personnel right now. We're both paying duplicate workman's comp cost. We're both paying ASRS retirement costs. We're both paying, you see where we're going with this?
Right.
And you take those duplicated costs and just create us into one, and now we're sharing that collectively. We cut workman's comp, we cut insurance, we cut, if we're able to cut excess apparatus and whatnot that we both have to maintain independently, but together, as Chief said, we'll be able to reduce apparatus and other equipment expenses and costs. And when you get rid of apparatus, that's fuel, maintenance, and insurance costs that are brought back into the...
At the end of the day, it's about the service, too, to the community. That's our number one priority.
Absolutely.
How can we enhance that? How can we make that better? How can we put more people on the scenes with what we have? Not adding more, but just utilizing what we have and operating differently as 3 fire stations instead of 2. And so that's what we're getting our arms around too, and it's really making a lot of sense. And we're going to be able to provide better, not only maybe more personnel on the scenes, but also a level of skills like paramedics. We're going to be able to share that. We'll be sharing everything.
Okay. Now, before the show, you were talking mill rates, and you gave me a very good example of how 10 years ago, Clarkdale Fire District had this rate, Verde Valley Fire District had this rate. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Okay. Back when we became a district, Clarkdale started as a fledgling district at a mill rate of $1.63 per $100 of assessed valuation of the taxpayer's value. Verde Valley at that time was at $2.18. When you take those 2 mill rates and you try to put them together, what has to happen by law is the 2 districts coming together have to be at the same rate. You can't tax differently one taxpayer group and another, yet you're coming from the same service. So you can imagine that if you had to blend that somewhere in the middle, the Clarkdale community folks starting at $1.63, if they had to go up to $2, that would be just an astronomical amount of taxation that would be unreasonable. And by the same token, it would not be fair watching Verde Valley go from $2.18 down to $2 and them getting a major decrease, if you will, in their taxation.
Right.
And it's just not fiscally responsible or feasible to do when you're that far apart. It's a giant bridge. It's like trying to bridge a Grand Canyon. Next to impossible and not reasonable. Today, Chief Azimi, our districts sit at a mill rate of 3.23, and it will be that way in the consolidation year going forward if this is approved, and therefore there's no change in taxation to either taxpayers, no increased cost. In fact, the hopes of our boards are sooner than later to hopefully be able to decrease maybe some of that tax mill rate. That's their hope, that's their desire. And the way we've looked at it, anticipating it, together, we could probably do that a little quicker. I anticipate we can do that quicker together than we could independently.
All right, we have to take our first break. We've got a couple of public meetings coming up as well. Clarkdale Fire has one on March 31st at the Clarkdale Clubhouse at 6 p.m. Verde Valley Fire District public meeting on April 5th at the Verde Manor on Goddard Hall. So countywide, back in just a couple of minutes. Do stick around.
think getting dumped by text is harsh. Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I bought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Welcome back to Countywide. Clarkdale Fire Chief Joe Moore in studio today. Verde Valley Fire District Chief Nazeh Hazimi as well. A couple of public meetings for the public to come and listen to what we're doing right now, basically, is talk about the consolidation. Is that the correct word?
That's
consolidation. You were just mentioning that.
Correct.
Consolidation of the two districts into one. Clarkdale Fire has one coming up on March 31st at the Clarkdale Clubhouse at 6 p.m. Verde Valley Fires is on April 5th at the Verde Manor, Goddard Hall. Right?
Right.
I'm saying that right? Okay,
Correct.
Good deal. There's two things I always think of when we've done these in the past. I remember one of the last ones we did, I think, was, we've had these other consolidations coming through, and I guess there's three different terms for taking two districts and putting them together. You were mentioning during the break. I don't want to get into that, so to speak, but I remember when Verde Valley Fire and Cornville Fire came together as one. And that was a big deal. It seemed like taxes was one thing that people were really concerned about. Are my taxes going to go up? Are my taxes going to go down? So now we know the tax should either stay the same or we'll do our best to bring it down if we can. And the other thing is response time. People want to make sure that the firefighters and the paramedics are still responding just as fast. How's that going to work?
Currently, it's going to maintain pretty much where it's at today. I mean, the stations are geographically located, for the quickest response time throughout both of our districts. That's not going to change. If anything, we're going to be able to enhance that and have more units respond if need be, being of one organization through the consolidation. But right now, our average, I think, between both of us is probably around 6 minutes or less for a response time, which is pretty good based on our rural area that we have to cover.
How about that teamwork? We were talking about during the break too. I think that would be another concern for folks because we were talking years ago. I can remember where heads were butting and stuff like that. Not everybody worked quite so fluidly together, but that has not been the case for many years now.
No, I think our early on conversations between Chief Moore and myself was, however this works out, we're going to make it work. It's not about egos. It's about, who's going to take on who and what positions need to be filled. Excuse me, I've got vacancies right now in Verde Valley. I left them vacant on purpose. If I don't need to fill them, I don't want to. Your biggest cost are your personnel, but your most important assets as well. So it's a tough balance, but if we can leave vacancies and leave them alone and not fill them, then that's great. But I did that as we were talking about consolidation to see where we need to plug in personnel to fill those spots.
Maybe we should talk about personnel. Is there going to be job loss?
Excuse me. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, through the consolidation, there'll be a dissolving of one agency, which will be Clarkdale, but all their personnel, all their staffing will come over to under Verde Valley.
Okay.
Still be maintaining that station over there, protecting that area. None of that will change. None of the operations will change. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
And the joint work between the districts and the agencies is really nice, I have to say. I remember when press releases would come out, you'd see credit gave to one person, but now It's like, we saw Sedona Fire came in, Cottonwood Fire came in, Sheriff's Office was there, DPS responded, Clarkdale PD responded, and it's really nice to see that, and I hope that always continues. You both sat down with the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors on Wednesday. How did that go?
Went great. A lot of support and a lot of good questions, and we were able to be there together and address their concerns. And for the most part, they were extremely excited because this is kind of new territory. We have two chiefs, two different districts coming together, working together, not only between the chiefs, the board members, and staff, because everybody's involved in this process, and they were very pleased. Everybody was pleased. There was nothing negative said about our efforts, and we left. We left there feeling pretty proud about what we're doing.
Good. Okay. All right. So, what were some of their concerns, the supervisors?
Really didn't have any concerns. They were saying the same thing you were. It was just great to see agencies working together, folks coming together and looking for ways to provide a better service to our communities, reduce the cost maybe in that if at worst you don't reduce the cost but you provide a better service. One of the concerns that did come up, the elections department was there and they're like, hey, how's this going to affect us? And as Chief Azimi mentioned, and I just want everybody to realize, Clarkdale would dissolve as an entity under consolidation. Now, the concern that we've had with that with folks is, okay, whose board is going to be in control? And in this case, Verde Valley's board will be in control. But again, one of the cost-saving things that we're looking at in this situation is instead of us running 2 elections for 3 people that are coming due this November, there'll only be 1 election for 3 people. The accounting for the county, they're running 2 accounts for 2 separate special taxing districts for Verde Valley and Clarkdale. That'll reduce to 1. The elections reduced to 1. Again, it's cost savings to the taxpayer on the county side as well. So that was something else that we're very pleased to see. This is the side effect of what's going to happen for that end for them to show as well.
I think the only other question they had was what you had brought up early on as far as the mill rate and how that's going to work. And we explained that, everything's in line right now, so they were glad to hear that. But they did ask those questions.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that. Okay, so that makes sense. The way you were describing it is now the mill rates are even, so we can do that. But other than that, before that, you couldn't do it. You got to wait until they get really close to each other.
Now with
before
the
you could do something like
consolidation,
that.
it would have been more difficult. But
Okay.
through a joint powers of authority, certainly you could.
Okay, and that's where these other 2 options come into play.
Central and Chino are very different in their mill, and that's why they had to. And again, so is Rimrock and Camp Verde, and that's why they're considering it. In our case, that's why consolidation works better.
How about the folks that work both at both districts? How are they feeling about the whole thing?
Oh, they've just been coming together even more so. I mean, we've always had a good camaraderie between both districts, but it's just building with this whole feasibility study because everybody on both sides handle certain line items, certain areas of the district, facilities or apparatus or equipment, extrication equipment, uniforms. Everyone's responsible for certain areas on both sides. So we had those people talk to each other, communicate, and come up with a feasibility study of duplication. What are we doubling up on it? We don't need to. Let's eliminate that. Let's add this. It didn't just go about eliminating, but also maybe we need to add more. So we're looking at all those results now with the summaries and the dollars that are associated with it. So it caused staff to all come together and work well together, and they did. I mean, it's been great.
And even prior to that,
boards,
I want to go
board
back.
members as well.
I want to go back just a little farther on that, Chief. Obviously, we knew ahead of time that if staff was not going to support this effort, it wasn't going to happen. So even before the feasibility and all that stuff, this in the earlier stages of us just discussing efficiencies and sharing services and saving costs, staff were involved very early on and said, this is where this looks like this is going. Does any of the labor group folks have any objections to this or anything? And every one of them were talked to. And no, they had questions, they had concerns, and those were addressed. And then they said, yeah, we're ready to go forward. We think this is a good thing. So we have the support of our staff, our administrations, and our boards fully backing this process.
Very good. We have to take a break. We have to take another break. We have to take another break.
We have to. Let's do it.
Verde Valley Fire Chief Nazeh Hazimi and Clarkdale Fire Chief Joe Moore in studio talking about the consolidation of the 2 districts. Stick around, countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
It's your home, it's your dream. Radon testing, keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green. Make Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. Now that's living healthy and green. Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon testing, keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking about the consolidation of Verde Valley Fire District and Clarkdale Fire District this morning on the show. Clarkdale has a meeting March 31st at the Clark Memorial Clubhouse at 6 p.m. Verde Valley Fire, April 5th at Verde Manor, Goddard Hall. What time is that one? 6 o'clock as well?
6 o'clock
6 p.m. as well. Okay. We mentioned elections was at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we talked about how this would be done before then, so we won't have to worry about electing, 6 board members, just 3? So the timeline on this is going to go relatively quick.
Yes. Right now, going forward, our public hearings for our public to come and get informed and ask questions about this, as you mentioned, the times for both March 31st and April 5th. Those are the next 2 big meetings coming up. On April 12th, the town of Clarkdale has to, for this process to continue on and go forward, they have to pass an ordinance or a resolution. I believe the resolution process will what we used in support of this consolidation because our municipality is affected by it. April 21st will be Clarkdale Fire District regular board meeting, where they have the opportunity after the public hearings in the town and the Board of Supervisors comments to, by resolution, pass a resolution to consolidate with Verde Valley Fire.
Okay.
Or be consolidated by Verde Valley Fire, which has to be done unanimously.
Okay.
And will not be done by election, that being said. If that's done, then Nazee's board on April 26th will have their regular board meeting and would have to reciprocate, do the exact same thing. And it would have to be unanimous by their board for the consolidation to take effect. With that resolution in place, we're looking at the district becoming consolidated effectively July 1st, the beginning of the fiscal year 2016.
Oh, wow. So boom, done deal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Fairly quick.
There's a lot of steps to it, and yeah, so it's exciting times.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the tax is going to be good. Response is the same.
Service. Yeah.
Now you mentioned that there's land in Clarkdale. We've got about 30 seconds left. You mentioned there's land in Clarkdale for a new firehouse.
Yep, it's paid in full, and it's something that we had intended in doing as part of our capital improvement project. And by coming together with this organization, it looks like something that would be more feasible to get done in a sooner time than we had planned. It may take us a lot longer to do it independently, but collectively, there's opportunity for that to be a possibility to be built sooner. So
it's like a Cinderella story. Okay, sure. Chief Nazee Hazimi, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Chief Joe Moore, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
That is today's Countywide. Hope you're informed. Stick around. We'll talk to you again next time.